Okay, so we are pretty much all exhausted, so I'll be very quick. I mean, it's maybe a 5 or 10-minute presentation max. It's kind of opinionated view on what we did during the last year. Very short plan. We got bigger and we got better, more or less. On the source code aspect, we've got software heritage the source code of software heritage consists in a forest of packages, mostly in Python. This year we got 4 new packages and we produced a little more than 2,000 Git revisions, and we currently have some. During the 2021 year, we had something like 25 active contributors in our Git code base. The software heritage project at the very beginning of the year was something like 120K lines of Python code, 8,000 lines of JavaScript, and yes, a bit of Java as well. And during the past 11, 12 of the year, we produced 20 more plus lines of Python and 1,000 more lines of JavaScript, and one of the one produced more Java code in there. So we do increase the code base. What I would have loved to do is to present not just the increase of number of lines, but the div stat. I mean, what we added and what we removed. But I didn't have time to do that on the scope of the whole software heritage code base. It would be probably more important, more meaningful. You know these graphs. We got bigger because we got more objects. At the very beginning of the year, we were something like 9 billion files, and now we are reaching 12 billion files, and so on. So you can see that we've got a pretty consistent increase of the number of source file objects, of revisions and projects, with some kind of areas at some point because technical issues and technicalities. But the storage size is also increasing quite steadily. You can see this is the size of the object storage, actually not the whole of the object storage, only part of the object storage. And we don't see really, but it's something like, I don't remember the number. It's a few hundred terabytes of data it's rising. And I've intentionally also put all the vertical lines you see. It's not noise, it's all the ops, interventions, and upgrades and improvements they did on the system aspect. So we don't do continuous delivery, but
we deliver continuous.
Yeah, we deliver quite often. I mean, every vertical line is some operation towards either upgrade of some part of the archive. So as you can see, we are getting bigger, but it's one of the problems we have currently is you can see that these graphs are linear in the horizontal and vertical scale, and we could more or less draw line. So we've got more or less linear increase, and we think it's not enough, and we need to go faster. So that's what we are trying to do, and in the doing better is that part of we need to go faster. One big project that we started this year, but it's not done yet, it will be hopefully deployed during the next year, is a new object storage based on Ceph. I won't enter in the details. If you are interested in the lots of documentation and blog posts and so on what we are trying to do currently. This is also a big project that is designed by Loïc Dachary, so not by software heritage directly. We are obviously really involved in the project, but it's developed by someone else under some grant funding also. It's safe-based, and it should be a massive scale-up on the current situation of the object storage we have. So we will be able to write much more objects per day in this new object storage. The other part of the archive is object storage, and the other part is a graph storage, the place we store the structure of the graph. And this one also, we are currently using a single PostgreSQL database, and it's working great, but it's not working fast enough for us to ingest more and more data in it. So we have a new design that mostly Valentin, with the help of the whole team, obviously, Nicolas did a lot of work also, and other people. A new backend for the graph storage, for the structure of the graph, which is based on Cassandra. We had Vincent from the Ops team did some heavy benchmarking on 5,000, sorry. And once again, we are currently waiting for the hardware to be able to deploy it. Just getting hardware nowadays is kind of complicated, but hopefully we will have it soon. We also, Roberto mentioned it this morning, we want to have a mesh of mirrors of the archive. So currently we do have some contractual aspects of the mirroring, but not the technical parts. So we are working very hard on having our first deployed mirror, and it should be pretty soon in Italy on the Enea infrastructure. We had a lot of improvement on the Vault design. So the Vault is a part of the software heritage archive that allows you to download what's in the archive as a zip file for a Vault directory or a Vault Git history. So this one, we had the feature for quite some time, but it was not working fast enough, good enough, with not enough user feedback, with not enough good UI. So this has been worked, and we do have now, thanks to Antoine and others, a much better stable Vault and performances. It's far from perfect, but at some point we won't be able to do something really efficient, but because of our data model and so on. But we are doing better. We had also, with the great work of Moran, a lot of improvements, and also Antoine and Valentin and so on the deposit. The deposit is one part of the archive that allows partners to deposit our software in software heritage with traceability, with metadata, and so on. It is the API used by HAL that was presented before, for example. And some other users might are using it also. Yes, the SafeCode node, the famous SafeCode node that some of you know and love to use, is now also much better in terms of performances. You have now a much quicker time to ingestion. For when you click on the button, I want to save this piece of code, it gets ingested much quicker, because also Antoine and others made a tremendous job on improving the architecture of the SafeCode now feature. Yes, we also have, thanks to intern work with Antoine Pietri and his PhD, they developed a software heritage file system. So we've got a tool, you can install a Linux tool, obviously, you can install it, and you can then CD in software heritage, and ls in software heritage, and grep in software heritage. Sort of. We've got a new Elasticsearch-based search engine, so we've got faster results. We don't have a search engine capable of searching on the file content, but only on the origins and metadata, but it's now much efficient as it used to be. So all these are small parts you don't see every day, but the kind of thing we try to do every day to just make the software heritage archive behave more efficiently and have better UI experience. We had also a new scheduler to have better tooling. That the tooling, it's all the tooling that grabs that goes to on the internet and decide to load this origin and to list this forge and so on. So we've got a task scheduler, and we still have a lot of things to do to make it more efficient, to do use less work and do only efficient and useful work. But a new design has been started by Nicolas, and we are still working on deploying it, and so on. We've got better metadata. We've got now support for extrinsic metadata, so metadata that are not from the source code itself, but from other aspects of the source code. For example, some metadata that come from GitHub, but that are not part of the Git repository itself. This kind of stuff. So we can now gather this kind of information. There are no really good way to read this metadata, to extract this metadata, but we do improving the tooling for that. It will come also during the next the year to come. We made some work on trying how to improve the technical and the user documentation. We also developed a FAQ page. Yeah. And more generally, we also, the ops team made a tremendous job on improving the overall stability of the whole IT under the whole infrastructure under the software archive. So we have a better improved time and more or less reduced maintenance costs. And we've got, thanks to all the people working with us in the context of grants and so on, we got a lot of improvements on loaders, listers, and all the tools that gather information to put it in software heritage. Much better Mercurial loader thanks to Octobus, much better Servnet version and CBS loader that are work in progress thanks to Stefan with cycles. We've got a new tulip lister, SourceForge lister, open, obviously from OCaml people. Maven is on progress also from Boris that is not here today. A Bazaar loader that maybe we will have also thanks to Octobus, and so on. I forgot some of them, but this is the kind of stuff that we do also all the time to make software heritage better. That's it. I probably spent more than 5 minutes, but I'm sorry. Thank you for all your involvement and your interest in the software heritage project, and please continue to help us make it better. Please tell us what we need to do to make your job easier, to interact with us, to discuss with us, if you need more. Yeah, we need your feedback on what we are doing. So please give us your feedback. And stay tuned for the 2022 roadmap that should be published next January in discussion.
Thank you, David. So to answer David's last request about giving feedback, this is why I've given you these activities. So for the people that were in the other room, ignore the first page. You just go to the second one, and this is about the roadmap. It's about what you did with software heritage until now, and ideas for 2022. And you also have a really full blank page here to give feedback. So if you want to use it now, oh yeah, great. Yeah, that's a good one to put here. Excellent, because I'm not going to do anything about. I had a presentation about presentations, but let's put it aside. So you use this page, and I will take it before we all leave to the UNESCO in about, let's say, 15 minutes. But stop. Don't get up, because I want to take a picture of all of you. Okay? And sorry about the online people that are following this and don't see anything. I want you all to put your hand in the air and put a 5, because we are going to do 5 years. So we are here 5 years. We do 5 for 5 years. Okay? Okay. Let's see if I can do that.
Wow.
Yes, yes, go, go, go. Excellent. Thank you. So now we can get up. But you don't have to. We have, again, now we have 10 minutes, but we'll live together in 10 minutes. To UNESCO. What? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, just sorry for the bad handwriting.
Yes.